Good morning and welcome back to my channel. Alex Does, the least educational bushcrafting channel on all of YouTube. I'm in my mud hole, my clay hole. It's getting a little bit deeper. Oh, my friend just come back. So what are we doing on today's episode? I can tell you what we're doing because I'm about to do it. It's my plan. It's my shelter and I'll cry if I want to. So yes, you were introduced last week's episode to my new friend, and actually he's on the ground just a few meters behind you at the moment. He's just flown in. And that's been such a pleasure having him here and having a little bit of company, though he is eating some of my food. And actually, as I speak, he's trying to get into my food box. So yeah, I think for future visits, what I'll probably end up doing is bringing some kangaroo mints for him to eat, so I don't have to give him my food. But anyway, it's been cool having him around, and it'll be fun to see that friendship develop and seeing his trust in me grow, and hopefully get to the point where maybe he'll eat from my hand or sit on my shoulder and I can play pirates. I don't know. But anyway, I discovered last night that he's not the only new visitor to the campsite. We have another one who's decided to make home within the boundaries of the shelter, actually within one of the ground rails of the shelter, and this one is of an 8-legged variety, and he is one, or she is one, that is not welcome. So yeah, there's a funnel web hole in there. I did see a spider that I assumed was a funnel web a few weeks ago at that spot, but didn't really see where it went to. And no, sure enough, noticed last night right in that very spot that there is a funnel web hole there. And look, I'm totally 100% tolerant of all the animals that are in the bush. Live and let live. I don't have any particular phobias. I'm not scared of spiders. I'm not particularly scared of snakes or anything like that. Just, play it safe and keep your distance. But when it comes to funnel web within the shelter, and particularly because I spend so much time in there at night with very little lighting, and there's a lot for them to hide under and all that sort of stuff. Just that's a no-go for me. So I'm going to do something today that will hopefully, I don't think it's going to be, well, I know it won't be 100% foolproof, but we'll go a little bit ways towards protecting, or at least preventing, deterring the funnel webs from coming in. So I just want to use some clay and rock and build up a little bit of a barrier in between that sort of the dirt level and the logs. Like I said, I know it's not 100% foolproof. And look, you come out in the bush, you got to learn to live with these things. You got to learn to accept them. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just a psychological thing, or hopefully it'll give me a little bit of peace of mind. Because I really don't want the idea of stepping on one of those if I've not got any shoes on or anything like that. I do have a bite I was going to say repair kit, like a bite kit, first aid kit specifically for bites from snakes and spiders to deal with. But a funnel web or a snake, you're still going to need to get yourself to hospital fairly quickly, even if you do apply some first aid. You don't have mobile reception where I am here. I do have a PLB. Actually, this is show you how safety conscious I am. I actually carry it with me now in my pocket, so just in case I'm out and about and I have a fall or something like that. So I have a PLB, but yeah, even activating that, it can be a little bit of time before they get to you. And with a funnel web, if it's a good solid bite and they get plenty of venom in you, even as an adult male, you may only have a couple of hours to go before you need treatment or you're a goner. So yeah, so I thought I would do that today. So what I'm going to do, I've already packed up my tent, had my coffee, and I just had a couple of boiled eggs for breakfast, which I had to share. He's flying around inside the shelter at the moment. So yeah, so it looks like he's going to be a long-term visitor, which is super, super cool. So yeah, I'm going to just clean up the floor space in there. I'm going to move all the firewood out, mix up some mud. I'm going to shove rocks underneath the logs and then pack it in with mud. That's today's task. Let's get on with it. Oh, I'm going to need a ladder. here's where that funnel web hole was, right there, which was, you know, up only 2 foot away from where my head normally lies, although I am in the tent. So next step then is to, I'll probably see what rocks I've got that can get shoved in under here to fill this gap so that I'm not using as much clay. And the gaps on that side are a lot bigger than the gaps on this side. Once I've pushed those rocks in there to fill those spaces, we'll dig some clay out of the pit, mix it up with some water, and seal in the edges. So it turned out I'd made just enough clay to get a full ring around the shelter, sealing it in from the inside. Turned out I tried a few different techniques, and I settled on the best technique, or certainly found the best technique, as typically happens right towards the end, which is just throwing the clay directly at it, and I think it just moulds in better and seems to stick better. So you live and learn. We'll remember that for next time. That technique of throwing the clay or throwing the mud apparently is the best technique to do the daubing on the watling, so no doubt that technique will make a return in the near future when we come to do that. Other than that, it's been a really good trip this weekend. It's not really a weekend, but this week. Today's Friday. The door on the smoker, yes, it works really well. It's let's just call it a work in progress. It sits there nicely. Putting the piece of bark in there was good to seal that upper gap. As the clay has shrunk, there's a lot of cracks along here. There's a big gap on this side, and I don't know if you can see from there, but that's completely detached, that piece of clay there. So this will all need redoing. I'm sure that will have fallen off by the time we get there, particularly if we have another earthquake like we did a couple of days ago. So yeah, actually I just thought of that too. I felt the earthquake where I live on the Central Coast. This is very much out of context for the times. It's going to take a month for this video to come out, since we had the earthquake not yesterday but the day before. When it happened in the morning, I was actually in my bus, and the bus started shaking like it does, or not shaking, but swaying like it does in a heavy breeze or heavy winds. And I thought it was strange because I couldn't hear any wind, which you normally can. When it gets to that point that it starts swaying the bus, you can hear the wind on the outside. And as it started to settle down, before it had finished, I looked outside and there wasn't a whisper of wind, and I just thought, that is bizarre, and didn't obviously think that it was an earthquake. But yeah, sat back down, and then a couple of hours later saw the reports coming through of earthquake activity. So that was interesting. So yeah, so the structure, and more importantly the fireplace, technically is earthquake proof. It would withstood an earthquake, so yeah, let's call it earthquake proof. So when I come back next week, I'm gonna have to obviously revisit that. That's about to come off, and do a bit more sealing around here somewhere, somehow. So anyway, work in progress. I'm still happy with it. What do you reckon? All right, so that's it. I'm done. Thanks for coming along and giving me your time again on one of these videos. I really, truly do appreciate it. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell for notification. It would certainly help us along, and I'm really pumping some effort into my Instagram at the moment, so jump on there. Alex Does No Expert. Last week I believe I will have uploaded some rather promiscuous modelling photos of this shirt for so yeah, maybe you don't want to go and see those, I don't know. All right, I'm out of here. Thank you very much. See you later. Here's what's going to happen next week. See ya.